What's going on, everybody? Trev Wilson here. Welcome back to the Bourbon Ranch. Today, I was walking through the liquor store and stumbled upon a bottle that was pretty new to me. It is the Jim Beam Black Label, but it got a little facelift, and they brought back the 7-year age statement. Now, it got me thinking, the Jim Beam Black Label used to be 7-year age stated, and like all things, there was this trend of let's get away from the age stated. I think as it was getting super popular, they had to keep up with demand. A lot of things saw their age statement go away, and the Jim Beam Black Label turned into whatever the heck it is now, the Jim Beam Extra Aged, which really doesn't tell you anything. Like, which Jim Beam? Is it the Jim Beam White Label? And how much extra aged? You just, whatever, words. But as of late, we've been seeing, especially out of the Jim Beam distillery, a resurgence in age-stated products. We're seeing the Knob Creek Rye came back with its age statement. Now we're seeing the Jim Beam Black Label coming back with a 7-year age statement and appearing to be around the same price as what it is now. So my store only had the big one, and I was like, well, I gotta try it. So pretty cool. Let's fresh crack this and just see how it is, if it's worth anything. I mean, come on, that's a budget pour bottle, a $20 bottle with a 7-year age statement. That's pretty cool. Cork pop. And you know, I love it. Pour this stupid thing. Let's let that kind of warm up a little bit. What do they say about this? After 7 years resting in barrels, something special happens. The liquid turns a rich gold with notes of caramel, vanilla, and warm oak. This is the smooth aged whiskey of Jim Beam Black. So, you know, let's face it, isn't caramel and vanilla, it's just notes of all bourbon ever. 7 generations, Kentucky straight bourbon since 1795. There we go. Let's have at it. Let's see. Color, gold, nose. Okay, it's right up front. It's very evident Jim Beam. Okay, I'm thinking of other, so like the Jim Beam Double Oaks, the Jim Beam Devil's Cut, the Jim Beams, whatever. It's that, but there is definitely, I can pick up some of that age. There's a little more oaky characteristic that's kind of bringing it up. It's kind of maturing it a little bit. It's rounding off some of the sharpness that I think some of the other ones give you, where it's just kind of like, oh yeah, that's young, and it's okay to be jagged and rough around the edges. You know, it's cheap, whatever. I think the oak kind of mellows this out a little bit. What's the proof on this? 90 proof, so in line with all of the other ones in that category. So let's taste it, because who cares about what it smells like? Very, very Jim Beamy. Very cheap Jim Beam. But there's definitely a layer of, I wouldn't say more complex. Okay, it's not that much more complex than the other ones, but you could tell this has some more aging time for sure. And I keep looking over there, I'm looking at my other Jim Beams. It's more than those, okay? Up front is the super sweet vanilla that they're talking about. Very sweet. Then it turns into this caramely, cracker jacky, nutty thing that I get on most cheap Jim Beams. And then it goes into this, like, this soft but evident oakiness on the very back of the palate. You know, it's really not that bad. I think this is a definite improvement compared to the other ones. And when I say the other ones, I'm specifically talking, when I go to the liquor store, there is a shelf of Jim Beam White Label, Jim Beam Black Label, Jim Beam Double Oaked, Jim Beam Devil's Cut, okay? That row of bottles are like basically the same price, and they're all just variations of the same thing, I feel like. And, you know, I don't have a Jim Beam Extra Aged, the current Jim Beam Black to compare this to. But I can't imagine getting the other ones now that this exists. You know what I'm saying? With them being the same proof in the same, you know, price, mainly the same price, there's just kind of this, I feel like this is now the king of Jim Beam budget bottles. I think it does everything that those do and just makes it a more enjoyable drinking experience. I think if someone is used to drinking stuff like the Jim Beam white labels, Jim Beam Devil's Cuts, all those guys, if you're used to that and you kind of want to, you don't want to step out of the realm too much of your category, I think this is it. I think this is definitely what you need to pick up to experience what age does to a bourbon. It definitely still has that budget beam characteristic to it. So if you hate that, if you absolutely hate that, then slapping a 7-year age statement on there and adding a little oakiness to the pour isn't gonna make you love it. Now, I will say I am one who typically does not like the other budget beams, but this one's pretty good, and I think this is where I personally would start. The other ones are just kind of whatever. I don't want them, don't need them. This one I think is a good budget, you know, mixer, sipper, whatever you want to do with it, it just kind of hits all those boxes in the Jim Beam category. So I think that's pretty cool that they're adding an age statement to a very budget-friendly entry-level pour that I think adds a little bit. It's not just cheap swill that's been sitting there for 2 years. It's 7 years old. It has something else going on to it, and I applaud them for that. Final takeaways, I think you need to ask yourself a couple things, depending on where you're at in your bourbon journey, okay? If you are a seasoned bourbon drinker, just because you see a 7-year age statement on this bottle is like, oh my God, that's gonna taste so freaking good. Now, no, age, nope. I think if you're used to spending $60, $70, $80, $150 on bottles, I don't think this is just gonna blow you away. I do think though that it's a good bottle to add to your arsenal of cheap pours that taste pretty good, okay? You don't mind mixing it, you don't mind throwing it on ice, you don't mind whatever. If you want a cheap pour that you don't want to think about and you just want to drink, then, you know, here you go. It kind of fits in the category for me as like Evan Williams 1783. I like it, it's good, I don't have to think about it, and I can just pour it and drink it and casually do whatever I'm doing, you know? And not breaking the bank. Second, if you are someone who is in the budget category, okay? If you don't want to spend 30, 40, 50, yeah, okay, I get it. You're in your budget, you're in your price point, and that's where you want to be, and you want to know what bottles are good at a super affordable price. And for $21, $22, just like the other budget Jim Beams, I think this is going to give you a little more oakiness, okay? It's gonna give you a little more character, a little more depth, dare I say a little more complexity compared to the other ones. Now, I will preface this, I'm just now thinking of this as I'm going. If you are that new, that you're only used to the super budget entry-level stuff, then I think this is going to be your first real experience of oak. You know, a lot of us who are used to drinking high aged stuff know what super oaky is. But if you haven't experienced that, you might think of this that way. I remember when I first was getting into this, the first time I tried Evan Williams single barrel, I thought I was drinking a log, okay? I mean, it was like damp wood to me. I go back to it now and I love it. So I think it's all depends on where you're at in the category or into your journey, whatever you want to call it. There is elevated amounts of oak compared to the other ones, and I think that appeals to maybe more seasoned bourbon drinkers who want to get something much cheaper. And I think it's a great segue into beginners to get into older stuff, Okay. Whoa, I just love going unscripted. I just talk and ramble and go on and on and on and on and on. Too long didn't read. It's pretty good for 20 bucks. Give it a try if you see it. You know, if you're into budget bourbons, then give it a try. Okay, what do you gotta lose? 20 bucks? Let me know if you have tried this yet. It's pretty new. I think it just showed up out of nowhere. Let us know down in the comments what you think of it when you go and get it. Try it, come back, let us know. If you like the video, leave a like, subscribe. If you are new here, turn on the bell notification so YouTube will bug the heck out of you when I post videos and go live. If you want to support the channel more, check out our Patreon page. You will get access to merchandise and bourbon wrench barrel picks. We have a lot of them in the works. And until next time, I'm Trev Wilson. I will see you guys in the next video.